Hi, Alvin. I'm Kajal Mehra from TimesTech, and I welcome you first of all in India and for this interview as well. So let us move to the Q&A session. My first question for you is that with India becoming the largest consumer of internet service by 2028, how does Milestone's open platform VMS enhance data center security and operations?
Okay, it's a very interesting topic. Isn't it kind of amazing how how important data centers are to the world today? If you think about a developed nation, say 50 years ago, they will be looking at the employment, right? Safety and security of the citizens, higher standards of living, such as, just having a indoor bathroom, right? With refrigerators, for example. It's about democracy, ability to choose their own leaders. All of those are still very important to what a developed nation is today. But
Mm.
the developed nations of tomorrow is a little bit more than that, right? It's also the internet and the data and information, and data centers are the backbone to that. It literally impacts survival. Um, I remember a recent news article, very recent. The citizens are unable to purchase food because of electricity outage, and they have moved to a cashless society, right?
Yes.
So that is the world we are living in today. Protecting our farms, our livestock, our cows and our chickens, protecting our crops, they are very important in the past and today. But in addition to that, protecting critical infrastructure such as power generation and distribution is almost as important. And again, data centers are now considered a big piece of critical infrastructure, right? So we see the importance of protecting critical infrastructure from milestone perspective and from a video technology perspective. Access control within this space is so relevant, right? Um, in We have evolved actually in the last maybe decade or so from key cards to facial recognition. And why? Right? Key cards are very cheap and they are very effective, but they don't have the same level of governance. Why? Because key cards cannot prevent loitering. Um, Key cards cannot prevent tailgating. So, for example, if I have a key card, I open a door
Mhm.
and I can invite a
Mhm.
few coming behind me, right? Key
Mhm.
cards cannot track the location of people who are supposedly people of interest that should not be near those premises. So when video technology is so important to access control, the security of the system, managing the access control is also very important, and this ties into cybersecurity as well. We need to have a system that we call it hardened, right? That
Mhm.
while every system is breakable, it should not be breakable so easily, right? It should not be breakable by anyone on the street or anyone with a bit of hacking capabilities, right? So all of these, we are very we put a lot of emphasis on the
Mhm.
security of the system, um, and and it's also not just when you think about the data centers and how important they are to a developed nation. Now, it's not just about access control into those environments, it's also about damage control, right? VMS can work with building management system, integrates well with them, very well, to be honest, with temperature or fire detection and connecting them to the building management systems and the fire departments, right? We needed to make sure that we're effective in managing this as well. If there is a change in temperature or if a fire is detected, and someone from the control center can quickly view and see whether
Mhm.
it is a true emergency or it is something that go to or walk to instead of calling the police or the fire department immediately. All of this is all about the improving the response time to critical incidents, right? And all of this is to safeguard critical infrastructure. And when we're talking about critical infrastructure with how big it is in India, with the extent of the population and the maturity of internet consumption, it is it truly defines how how critical and how basic this has to be in terms of it being part of a developed nation like India.
Okay, so how is Milestone VMS aided projects under Viksit Bharat 2047, like business paths and transit developments to meet global standards?
Good question. I talked about developed nations, right? India has an incredible journey already, right? It's already one of the fastest economy in the world, and it's on its way to becoming the third largest economy by 2030. But being massive, right? Being a massive economy is not India's only goal. We talk about Visit Bharat. It is about being a developed nation, right? This means urbanization and modernization, and it's not just urbanization and modernization of technologies, but of policies as well, right? To become a united and a democratic society, right? That is based on equality. So when you think about that, right, the pillars of Visit Bharat empowering, the four main pillars, right? The youth, the Garib, the people who are poor, the Mahila, the ladies, and Kisan, the farmers, right? So let me talk about it one by one, right? For the youths, it's about ensuring a safe and
Mhm.
productive environment, right? It's about allowing them to be able to be in environments where they can be educated. And how do we do that? We
Mhm.
discourage unwanted visitors, and that is a part of a access control. By through video analytics, we can also monitor the behaviors of both students and students
Mhm.
between students. And in some situation, especially sometimes in the preschools, and it's also sometimes mandatory in a few countries already, video surveillance between the teachers and the students, because there have been incidents of violence even from teachers towards the young, right? And
Mhm.
all of these are discouraging an environment that is productive and safe. For the people who I would say poor or have lesser means, it's about justice, right? Equality, right? They must have the same rights as the rich and as the powerful. Video technology ensures that through evidence logging, that the the videos, the evidence, the recordings cannot be tampered with, right? And that
Mhm.
everyone deserves a fair treatment in the eyes of the laws in disputes. Talking about Mahila with the ladies, right? A majority, we all know that, right? The majority of the working population in India are
Mhm.
men. There is a lower percentage of a working population for women, right? So video
Mhm.
technology can do the same in terms of equality, and also provide women with a working environment that is free from discrimination. We, in terms of discrimination, there are abilities to use video technology to identify bullying or even violence. But it's not just that, it's also about safety, right? There are multiple use cases from different companies that actually monitors the more isolated areas,
Mhm.
especially putting a tree when a woman is walking alone in an isolated area, and that will pull a trigger to the command center to say, hey, watch out, let's make sure that she's getting to her car or to the bus or to the train station safely. And lastly, with the farmers, but I'll talk a little bit more about the blue collar workers or laborers, right?
Mhm.
Video technology has been used already to ensure safety, right? To ensure, and from a manufacturing perspective, from a laborer perspective, the untrained employees are away or kept away from hazardous and dangerous areas if they do not have the right protective gear, or if they are not trained in that area, right? So overall, these are a few examples to how video technology can help India's Visit Bharat vision.
Okay. So, can you share that how the Bangalore Experience Center and new office reflects Milestone's commitment to India's growth and innovation?
Sure. In India, we have triple, I think, the size of our headquarters over here in Bangalore, right? We have now three offices, full offices in India, much more than any other single country in Asia Pacific. We have over 10 years of serving India. We have doubled our headcount since COVID days. And
Okay.
last year we have our highest ever revenue for India, right? So I think those are a few examples of how important India is to Milestone. Now you talk about the experience center. Why do we invest in experience center across India? We have a flagship one in Bangalore, and a more compact version of it in Delhi. And obviously, we are also reviewing the need for one in Mumbai as well. But the whole idea about an experience center is creating an environment, right? That together with our partners to discuss, first of all, to showcase, right? To showcase the capabilities of Milestone and our partners here, technologies, to show people exactly how it works, to illustrate, the few use cases that is achievable through our connections with different companies. But I say more importantly, the experience center is a location for idea generation, right? It's a location that drives problem solving. Very often when we go to an experience center, we do not bring a customer or a partner in to sell a set of products or features. We go in to talk about the possibilities of the solution that will solve their problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to remember we have thousands of technology partners, and we connect with over 10,000 devices. The the scope of the solution is almost limitless. But when we get together in the experience center, we are deep diving, we are idea generating, we are brainstorming, and we are creating a solution that makes the best sense for our partners and our customers, both from a practical perspective, but also from a perspective that allows them to scale for the next 5 to 10 years.
Perfect. So, how does Milestone leverage video analytics to solve urban challenges like traffic bottlenecks and crowd management?
That is a very, very big piece of what we do in Milestone. Again,
Yeah.
coming to, and I use the word many, many times because it's India and it's also because of what we do in Milestone, a developed nation. Um, Data centers are the new requirements to a higher standard of living, but the core, the basics must be there. And when you talk about basics, obviously it's food and health. But when you talk about basics, it's also about transportation system, right? The transportation system doesn't just get you from home to work or to your friend's place or to the mall quickly, right? A very strong transportation system supports the well-being of the nation. When you think about it, not just from getting from point A to point B quickly, from my place to the mall or whatever, those are good standards of living. But more importantly, is the access and the reaction time and the response time of critical providers, service providers like the police, like the fire department, right? To get to the location that requires the support. Now, how does Milestone do it, right? We work with transportation agencies, transportation governmental agencies and or private agencies to manage this, right? We are able to be able to use heat mapping with a video technology to see how crowded, how dense the traffic
Mm-hmm.
is, right? We are able to count the number of cars. We are able to count the number of people. Crowd management is another thing that you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
especially what that has happened, I think, in Korea, I believe, right, with overcrowding and stampede and etc., where a nation is getting more and more overpopulated and where the exit ways could be limited. This
Mm-hmm.
could cause a problem. These have been done also in subway systems. For example, if there are too much crowds, the subway actually goes slower so that they do not send too many people to one location at the same time. Otherwise, there will be overcrowding. So there is this requires not just a problem or a solution from Milestone, right? It requires a solution from a VMS, from video analytical partners, and so the policies that define traffic management and crowd management, right? But all of these are very relevant technologies to managing urban challenges like traffic bottlenecks and crowd management. Because anything else, alternative, there are not much alternative to that other than video technologies.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sorry. How does Milestone VMS contribute to safer commutes and workplace, driving inclusivity and economic growth?
I think safer commute, I have talked about it with the from the transportation point of view. Some of it is not truly done by a video technology, but from a government transportation agency point of view. But we are there to support them, right? When you think about safer commute, you see railways around the world, metro stations around the world, with cameras, right? And what are they doing? They are monitoring access control, making sure that not just that people are not getting onto the tracks,
Yeah.
but also away from, um, I would say, confidential or employee area that they should not be having access to.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have I do have a friend in the real industry, and he has always talked to me about a particular problem, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe this problem exists in some parts of India as well, in Europe and other places,
Mm-hmm.
where there are remote crossings, right? We talk about remote rail crossings,
Mm-hmm.
and today all they have is a sensor. It's a sensor to determine whether there is a blockage on a track. But a lot of the problems is the sensor couldn't differentiate whether it was a leaf floating past the sensor, whether it was a
Yes.
dog, a person,
Mm-hmm.
or is if it was a person, if it's a person who is just quickly crossing the track, or if it's a person who intends to stay on the track to eventually do some self-harm, right? So video technology with our ability to detect loitering, right? If someone is loitering on a track for a few minutes, then you know the person is not crossing the track, but intending to stay on the track, right? So those are ways where we contribute to safer commutes. When you think about workplaces, there are many different layers of creating a safe place to work. When I think some of it I mentioned before with video technology being able to detect workplace violence, bullying, etc., and providing evidence log for anybody who is abusing their authority. But in some places where we're talking about a higher standard of living, video technologies is also used to count the number of employees in a work environment, and how does it impact and how does it integrate into the building management system to determine the percentage of oxygen flow in the workplace, right? To determine the temperature of the air conditioning, because the amount of air conditioning when we have 5 person versus 50% in the office is a little bit different. And in today's world of work from home and flexible working, it is a very important piece in some companies to use it to protect their carbon footprint and sustainability KPIs. So I think that would answer some part of that question.
Okay. Um, so moving ahead to the last question, that what future trends do you foresee in video technology's role in improving businesses efficiency across APAC?
I've mentioned about a few of them earlier.
Yes.
When you talk
Mhm.
about business efficiency across Asia Pacific, Asia Pacific is largely, except for a few nations, a um, very much in more blue collar work, right? Apart from a few nations where it's a lot more white collar. You think
Mhm.
about it, you want to be able to maximize efficiency from industries such as manufacturing, such as logistics and supply chain, right? I
Mhm.
talk about and such as yeah, I think let me talk about those two, right? In manufacturing, not only have we all our customers use video technology to ensure the safety of employees by protecting them against the hazardous and the dangerous areas, companies have also used video technologies to improve production, right? Whether it's a production of a car, whether it's production of something else like a toothbrush. In the past, it is very assembly line, right? With sensors and automation to improve business efficiency. But some of these assembly lines are getting a little bit more and more complicated and sometimes upgraded on an annual basis. So the algorithm to do that would not be as easily upgraded over time. Video technologies, in many cases, with a camera looking up, top down into a assembly line, is able to manage and view how fast a product is being assembled across the line, right? And whether there are gaps in terms of a production efficiency. That's one. We talk about the logistics and supply chain. It has been used to measure the incoming trucks into a factory, for example, right? And to manage traffic between those trucks in and out. Because very often to get is at some peak periods, we just get trucks waiting there. And then sometimes there'll be just no trucks coming in, right? And that is a problem for maximizing production within a industry like that, right? So these are a few examples of improving business efficiency. There are too many case examples. Even in the healthcare industry, we're looking at how nurses, right, in a world where we have a shortages of both doctors and nurses, how are they able to attend to instead of 1 to 15, but 1 to 50 patients, right? And some of those solution really comes with the ability to not to connect with patients that are 100 meters away from them, 2 floors, 5 floors away from them, right? Through video technologies instead of them run around, do those patient to patient diagnostic and checks, right? So there are multiple case studies of improving business efficiency, and all of them are different for different industries. But I'll just mention a few for your references.
Okay. Thank you so much, Alvin.